So if you haven't checked out BTS, man, that's a fun band. They're from Korea. Anyway, speaking of being a rock star,
Are they? Would you? I guess they're rock stars.
they're beautiful women. So you leave them alone.
I don't know.
I
don't know how to stuff they're talking about.
They're actually very talented young men that work their tails off that are in a pop, singing K-pop group. But the amount of effort they put into weigh 93 pounds and dance the way they do. But we're talking about like when's the best time in history to be a rock and roll star. This is a very controversial, divisive subject, right?
Sure it is.
Because some people are really passionate about, no, my decades, this is, when I was a kid, this would have been the best time. Like, you're probably right, because it's certainly not now. We'll get into that later.
He says definitively.
No.
Yeah.
No.
By any metric.
Every metric, money, everything.
Less money.
More, and the other stuff we'll get into more importantly. Let's just, let's start at the beginning of rock and roll. Let's start at the 50s.
All right.
I would say this would not be the best time to be a rock star.
No.
Because it's too new.
Yes.
It's a little bit, it's almost like you're being treated like a punk.
I feel like you are, yes.
And like you're not really respected. Like, and the punks later are cool because it's cool to be a punk.
Right.
But
maybe not so much in the 50s though.
yeah, but like, late 50s, like if you're Elvis and you get and Buddy Holly, awesome. Transitioning into we're just gonna get right into the 60s.
Let's do it.
So now Derek has argued, earmuffs here, that this is the best time for to be a rock and roll star, and like in early 60s.
Early 60s
is what he's saying in particular. Because there's lots of younger fans. and that's all I'm going to say. No, it's it was a long discussion. We had lots of fisticuffs being thrown and arm wrestling and like shoulder grabs and massaging. But no, I mean I get his point. Elvis. There's Jerry Lewis. No, but it's just the idea of like, once rock and roll is establishing itself a bit, there's this fervor for like there's a cleanliness to your fans.
How is this? How are we? I don't understand.
No, we're just like
Beatlemania.
We're getting into Beatlemania, and it's like that's sort of like that. I would go with that's more of the excitement time. Like it's not my number one choice yet.
But you got to be the Beatles. You know what I mean? Like,
or any of those, like the Animals, the Troggs. Like, any of those guys are kind of getting that.
Cared.
No, they're all. But at the time, it is like Beach Boys, Beatles. Shush your nose. The Beatles lit the
Beatles
fire,
are nothing.
But everyone else collected all the embers from it.
That's probably true.
And if the Kingston Trio is like slaying it left and right, it's like, yes, and like and the Four Freshmen, you got wearing button-down shirts and they open this catalog of like, here you go, here's the ladies,
there you go,
anything goes. The Beatles enter that, but also like artistically, I think that might be one of the most fun times. Like once you get into the Beatles and that sort of late '60s time, I think that would be
late '60s. Yeah, I don't know if early '60s that was true.
We're transitioning into sort of like later Beatles and
when we're getting psychedelic-y.
We're getting like getting into Jimi Hendrix maybe. That might have been pretty fun. Everybody's pretty dirty then.
Yes.
But
dirty hippies.
But this is when like rock and roll, I mean, arguably is that it's sort of transformative period and historically maybe the greatest period of rock and roll in some ways, as far as like the output of our heroes are being created right now. And there's a different spirit in the music industry at this point too.
Well, and most of those original heroes are still our heroes.
Yes.
Something to be said for that, right?
Well, and the experimentation that was, with the counterculture, with the society, but mixed in that music, like there were no rules. So like you get things that are like the Jimi Hendrix experience. And like, what's he doing? Well, we don't know.
And it was an experience.
And it wasn't.
Apt name.
And then let's slowly enter into what might be, what do you say about this?
Maybe the best.
What do you think about the 70s?
I love the 70s.
This is your choice, right?
I feel like I could have done very well in the 70s.
What's your number one reason for liking the 70s and thinking you could have done well?
I mean, basically, chicks are into it for you if you have long, dirty hair, maybe a bitchin' mustache, and you're playing these long, solo-y, noodly jams, and they're like, yes, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen.
That just makes me so happy.
What's not to love?
So if you're like a lover of the 70s, Jonathan is your man, 100% all the way. It's there's like, I mean, actually, you look at like bands like Boston and stuff. Like those guys like do not look like they sound. They look more like you with like perms,
Which is really weird, right?
which is like you think they're gonna be slick like the Cars, because the Cars are slick looking.
They are.
Bow, bow, bow. Like that's a different decade though. It's but they started in the 70s.
Yeah.
So it's but I still consider them of a different time when their pop hits come on. But yeah, like ZZ Top and everything. Yeah. That's like, like those guys are like, they're making good tours, like making good money. If their managers aren't cheating them like the Allman Brothers early managers did, early manager or whatever.
Right.
That's directly from the source from one of the band's wives to like the original members. That's all I'm saying. So this is not a YouTube Google there. Bad managerial over there stealing money from those brothers.
I think they came out okay.
They came out okay, but it's still,
all right. But
when they're living in mobile homes, their manager's living in this giant mansion down there in Georgia. They knew something, and they're like selling out everywhere in the world. It's true. Something's not right.
Not that there's anything wrong with mobile homes.
It is when you're selling out arenas, and they're like, "Hey, why is our manager living in this damn palace down the road?"
Wait a minute.
And they're like, there's nothing wrong with it, because still my wife's dream home is that one, like, it's a double wide, but it's like it's blue, and they built a porch onto it right on the way to Carthage. It's amazing.
A lot of added value there.
Top of the hill. You'll see it if you're going to Carthage, right outside town. Anyway.
Do they have goats?
I don't know.
I think they should have goats.
I don't trust people with goats anymore. Derek has goats.
I know. I tried to tell him. He's like, all these goats.
He named his goat Black Phillip, which is not
true.
Yeah, he's really into this witchcraft stuff a little bit too much.
Very strange. I don't get it.
He's really not, but it's fun to make him feel bad.
The goats and the chickens.
The goats and the chickens and the silver spoon. That was the original lyrics.
Was it?
I think so. No, it's yes. Like 70s is pretty epic.
Yes,
it's pretty epic. And now let's enter into the 80s. I'm gonna pick as my number one is the 1980s.
Because he likes shoulder pads.
I do like shoulder pads. No, because like it's got the gamut. Like let's just start with like Eddie Van Halen. Like we were looking at Eddie Van Halen pictures the other day, and that dude's wearing like a lavender jumpsuit.
I think it was pink.
It's pinkish. It was like purplish pink.
Okay, all right.
If it was pink, it would have been like it was. But it was a very effeminate worker's outfit.
But somehow it was super manly on him.
Super manly.
It's like, God, that dude's cool.
I know. I was like, I want to be him. Yeah. And like, and guys start looking like women a little bit. Their hair. A little bit. The 70s was like looking like this. Beards are gone in the 80s, and they start looking. But they're better looking dudes too. No offense.
There's like a reason for the beard.
Well, they're better looking because there's a reason, because there's this thing called MTV comes about. So it forces artists to actually have to be attractive.
Gotta be pretty to make music.
Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young was not different of the MTV period. Yeah. But so you've got this whole like changing thing, and like that's when I really think of sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
Yeah.
Like just the most fun. Like you're making the most money, you're having tons of outrageous quality time with your members of the opposite sex, and you're touring the world, and the entire world market is open to you now because of MTV.
It's true.
In a faster, more rapid way. It's and the only negative is like this is also the birth of HIV as far as like as a dominant killing force in the rock and roll world. But negatives aside, that's where the 70s might have a little bit of a But also, besides hair metal and all like the cool metal, like from Van Halen's to Poisons to Rat to Cinderella to real metal, you got the Priest and like Metallica's like starting to pop up slowly. Are they in the 80s? They're in the 90s more, aren't they?
Yeah, a little more 90s.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I was getting excited. But you also have like the other like the pop side of the 80s,
the new wave kind of stuff. Yeah,
which is also amazing. And you got the Cure.
Yeah.
You got all the Smiths and everything, and you got U2 in the pop world, like becoming the dominant touring force, and those guys are saving the world and also saving lots of girls from their sanctimonious marriages before. So, probably. Across that time, I don't know. I think
it's hard to imagine U2 doing that. I feel like they're just,
they done did it.
They're above those things.
Or even looking like Sting and like the Police. And I know like they're sort of transitioning from the 70s as well. A lot of these bands are starting, they're full.
But they're full blown in the 80s, yeah.
You know, full blown.
Full blown.
It's like when I don't want to get the negative again. Yeah. But no, it's like, but what a fun time too. I'm like, if you watch just watch a Poison video, any Poison video, and try to argue that doesn't look like a lot of fun. Pyrotechnics, hairspray tees, sliding across the stage with 20 different guitars. Like C.C. DeVille, a short little guy from PA, just crushing it. I think he's from PA.
I'm not gonna say it wouldn't be fun.
I think it's the most fun.
It would be fun.
Let's get into the 90s. 90s is still pretty freaking fun, right?
I guess so.
I mean, so who are the biggest rock bands of the 90s? You got Red Hot Chili Peppers?
This little band called Nirvana.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get them first, I guess. So I don't know if that looks as much fun.
It looks like less fun.
It looks like way less fun.
Very angsty.
And it didn't end with a
Lots
fun
of flannel.
finale.
I sweat a lot, so I don't like the flannel as much.
Yeah, like in Pearl Jam, they didn't seem like they were having a lot of fun at the time.
I don't know though, man. You ever seen him like climbing the rigging on those stages? It's kind of fun.
But their whole like the image of their presentation was like angst.
Yeah.
And like, you know, it was sort of the opposite of like sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Now it's like America sucks.
Time to get serious, guys.
Yeah, I know. And then like, but then
a little less rock starry, you know?
Yes, like much less like
cultural icon, but less like larger than life rock star, you know?
Like then you have the outliers like Smashing Pumpkins.
Yes.
Who's like that's more like an alien has landed on Earth.
Yeah.
And is giving us this great music. I love the Pumpkins, and I do love Nirvana. I love all these guys we just talked about with the grunge period because that's my. So I was like, oh my! I remember buying the 10 album from Pearl Jam and then selling it later to Anthony over at the Ice Cream Parlor for $10. I remember because I think some CDs cost $15 back then, and I took a $5 cut. That's okay. I listened to it enough. I was done.
Now, when did the Foo Fighters start? They were late 90s, right?
Yeah, but
I mean,
it is true. Yeah, so let's jump to late 90s.
Okay.
And sort of trains because this is another sort of golden era, I think.
I think that's true.
Of sort of as far as like making the money.
Yes.
And like getting it and like sort of the relaunch of that sort of sex, drugs, and rock and roll again.
Right.
With bands, like Limp Bizkit.
Yeah.
Three Doors Down, Nickelback. I know. There's
all the greats.
There's polarizing feelings on these bands, but I mean, I'm sort of over the polarization of it. Yeah. I mean, like we were on that road trip to the guitar show the weekend, and Photograph came on by Nickelback. I was like, damn, this song kind of
this photograph.
It kicks ass. That song kicks ass. I mean,
you remember that one? This is how you remind. Yes. When that came out, I was like, we
listened to the whole album of
Third Eye Blind.
That record.
But see, to me, they were sort of rock star. You know what I mean? Like that whole. I think of all those bands: Matchbox 20, Third Eye Blind.
Yeah, but that's like
Jacob Dylan. What is it? The Wallflowers.
Yeah, but
that was all.
And they were slaying it financially and with members of the other party that wants to hang out with them in a physical setting.
Yes.
There was
the cast of Friends, or whatever.
Oh yeah, the Friends. That was 90s, wasn't it? Was that 90s? God, we're so old now.
We are old. Because I'm like, oh yeah, you remember that show a few years ago? Oh no.
Oh no, that's
No, it's a lot longer than that.
Well, yeah, like that song kills me.
The Bodines.
I'm not into that at all. But
yes, you don't. You lie.
Definitely not. It's like that Rickenbacker sound that you like in some strange. Oh, it's nice and bright and tinny.
I only like it in very limited settings.
Okay,
like
I get it.
Tom Petty.
I mean, yeah, 90s Tom Petty, like
that. Tom Petty has some great 90s.
That
stuff.
old fool was killing it in the 90s with his Full Moon Fever. I mean, that's one of the greatest like solo records.
Well, you had like Wildflowers and.
Well, when did Full Moon Fever come out?
I don't actually know what you.
It's 90s, right?
I don't believe.
Was it late 80s? I think it was early 90s. Well, you have to let us. I'm gonna just side note.
I feel bad for not knowing that, but
you should know. That's embarrassing.
I should know that.
That's one of the best solo records. I think it's one of the.
Well, of course, yeah.
Most people identify that as Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers,
but it's not. Yeah, it's just Tom Petty.
But it's like
just Tom Petty.
Because normally when they do a solo record, like it's just not nearly as good. Right. It's because I'm a big Killers fan. Like I don't like any of their solo material nearly to the same level. And I don't want to ever hear Coldplay solo material. I want them to just Coldplay until you die. I don't need Chris Martin solo. Don't do it.
It'd be really fun if they did.
Just to spite Casino Guitars.
When you call it Coldplay solo material, it'd be like if Like somehow the band would have a solo album. That'd be strange.
Like,
but it would still be just all of them.
Can it get sadder? I don't want any more sad music. Sad British people. Just get out in the sun. Oh, you can't.
You can't. There's no sun.
Got it.
There's no sun.
That's why they go to Spain all the time to go on vacation. To go vacation. And this one girl is Wendy from Northern Ireland, from Newry. I love her to death. She's a beautiful Irish woman, but she's as white can be. And she'd go to Spain for vacation. We'd see her after she goes to Spain, and she's as red as a lobster. It looks not at all right. Gorgeous young lady, white hair, just beautiful. And then I top it, I'm going to tell you. She says it all the time. Top it, I'm going to tell you. And she doesn't say that. I'm just kidding.
When my friends from England would come here, they would liberally apply their sun cream, as they called it, the old sun cream, but they would all still get red, burned.
2000s.
2000s.
What do you mean? I think about the 2000s.
Good old new metal.
2000s was like, it's transitioning from the 90s. There's still record label money to be made.
Yeah.
I was part of that sort of scene in the New York area. Like when we saw the Strokes coming up and like Interpol and the Yeah.
Some sort of different kind of bands. Yeah.
We all thought that was going to be the biggest music in the country. It wasn't. It was All American Rejects as far as rock and roll, and then you had sort of the end of the boy bands and the pop stuff, like Britney Spears and stuff, is sort of like still, that's like sort of 99 to early 2000s.
And fizzling out, yeah.
And they're at the peak, but a peak of a pop band is bam, then gone.
Right.
It's like, and then some of them transition, and Britney's an icon now.
I guess in my brain that was all 90s, but it was early 2000s, wasn't it? Like
the late 90s into that.
End. Yeah.
Transition over. Let's just sort of, 2000s.
Blah.
I mean, so let's go 2010s to now.
Are they making music now?
No, they've stopped. So rock and roll. There's still a lot of great rock and roll bands out there. There's one band I'm going to reference, like the Catfish and the Blow Bottle Boys. That's not the name of the band, but Sean, who works with us, will know what I'm talking about. And they're like, God darn it, why wouldn't you mention us properly? They're a great British band. There's lots of great rock and roll, but I would say this is arguably the worst time to be a rock star.
Yes.
The absolute worst time. Let's talk about financially. You don't get to sell units anymore.
Not much to talk about. Yeah. You're not selling CDs
you're
like
streaming.
physical units. Yeah.
And unless you are at the top of the food chain,
you're not making much.
You're
and by much we mean zero. Or
you're streaming. We've talked about how much you make streaming, Jonathan.
Oh God.
Annually, it's impressive. Yeah. For a fifth world country.
It's true. I'm not even sure if it would be
not their GDP. I'm talking about like just their somebody's maybe like monthly income. No, but it's just the stream. Yeah, because people just don't buy CDs anymore. And the streaming rights are bad. Let's talk about this whole sex, drugs, and rock and roll thing. It's a dangerous time to be a rock star, isn't it?
I would say so.
Because we were referencing back to Robert Plant, even in the 80s and 90s, is still he's still like a machine.
Doing well.
Doing well, as far as when you're past the prime, but you're still a rock star, all these guys. But now, if you're a new rock star or even an older rock star, you got everything's just different. It's
you might get, canceled.
That's a thing.
That's a thing.
Well, what's neat though, I've been seeing a lot of the progressive rockers and artists are starting to push back against cancel culture now, which is neat. Like when you saw St. Vincent, he was like, "This is ridiculous," and even some very sort of left-leaning artists were like, "We got to stop." Yeah, people have done some things that are bad, but
everyone.
But now it's that's the biggest concern of your press, and we're talking about Pharrell with Happy. He was 40 when that song blew up, but he had to pretend that he was a 20-year-old.
True.
He had to dress right, had to be photographed properly, had to make sure his skin was put right, photoshopped.
I had no idea that he. I mean, I think that's awesome that he's 40. But I would have guessed that he was in his 20s.
Yeah, when it came out. But no, it's that dude's a good-looking guy. He's talented and he's good looking. It's no, but it's just being an artist now is not, even Billie Eilish is being called out.
Yes.
Right now. She was getting canceled by some of her fans, and she's been famous for a couple of years now.
Right.
But that's the cycle of well, you said something when you were 14 that we don't like now. We're off with you. And I'm okay with us checking on people, but.
No, we should, there is a good thing of us being more aware, how we make people feel, or not to bully people, or not to put people down, or that's all fine and good and should be the case. But there is a point where it's just a witch hunt kind of thing.
But we're not here for serious talk. We're here for on this one, the fun and the best time to be a rock star.
We're just saying it may be less fun now.
Lesser funner, more gooder back then. It's sort of like, and like you can see like it's definitely like stopped. Like the fun is it's tough being a rock star now. It's and just being a rock star is way harder in some ways. Like your access entry point to get there.
Thank God we're not rock stars.
And have no
We
chance
dodged
of
a
it.
bullet.
Whew. God bless that.
Thank goodness.
We work at a guitar store.
Which is almost the same thing. No, it's not.
No, it's not at all. Yeah.
But it is a lot of fun.
It is a lot. We have a lot of fun. We're very lucky
have
in
a
our
lot of
lives,
fun.
and I get to work with my best friends and hang out and talk guitars. But
What do we do on our days off? We go look at guitars together.
yeah, I mean, literally on a day off this weekend, we all went to. We took a 7-hour road trip to go look at more guitars.
And I still don't hate you guys.
No, and hey, that was fun. And we brought even like that stranger. Old Larry was with us, and he was a lot of fun too.
It was a lot of fun. Commentary from the back seat there.
Yeah, where's the women? Why are we stopping at the nudie bar?
Just relax, Larry. It's
We'll get
noon
there.
on Saturday.
We're almost there. We're almost there. And then he was very disappointed when the guitar show wasn't a nudie bar.
No, it wasn't.
We told him we were taking him to a nudie bar the whole time. It wasn't. So let us know what you think. Like this is a fun one, completely fun. And there's winners in all places. I like Jonathan's idea, was kind of neat. 70s could have crushed. Because
I'd like to try it.
I think of 80s as like just no condoms, no consequences is what I think they were sort of living that lifestyle by.
Like, oh shoot.
Except there were.
Yeah.
And just the fun of like the lots of makeup too. Yeah.
Get a lot of white rain.
So we picked the 70s and 80s. Derek picked the early 60s. We're not going to talk about that any further.
That's why we don't let Derek be on camera right there. If you ever need a reason or proof.
Okay, that would have been pretty. Like, that is sort of my favorite. I do love early rock and roll.
I mean, that would have been awesome to be there for like the genesis of everything, but still, yeah, maybe not as fun.
And the fun of like they don't know what they're doing.
No,
Like that's the cool part. Is like we have no idea what this is. It used to be like Dean Martins and Frank Sinatra's, and now it's just like crap. We're selling out like not theaters anymore. Like freaking. We need bigger venues.
like we're gonna have to play in the football stadium. Cool.
That's crazy.
That is crazy.
Crazy. That wasn't a thing.
It's crazy.
Let us know your thoughts. I'm out of
Tiny
here.
little speaker.
Take me home.
All right. You know the drill. Hit like and subscribe if you have not already. Click that bell so you don't miss discussions in the future. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, Mom and Dad.